I had a few people ask me if I saw the Impact Slammiversary show last weekend and what I thought of the match between Sami Callihan and Tessa Blanchard. One email I actually got before the pay-per-view even aired, asking about Tessa against Sami. I got a question. It was from Kenny in Gallatin, Tennessee, who said that he would prefer to see a male against a female match that is not positioned as comedy fodder, but is treated like you would treat a world title match. Well, Kenny got his wish because they positioned this match as the main event of that show. It closed out the show, and it was treated as seriously as anything else on the card that I saw. And I didn't see the whole show. I saw part of it, but I thought it worked. I thought the two of them put on a hell of a performance. You know, and so did Johnny Impact and Rich Swann. I saw that match, but I thought the main event really impressed. I really did. And it was done about as well as I think you could do a match like that. Callihan won, but in the end, had Tessa pulled it out, had she gotten the win, I don't think it would have made the match any less believable. And you guys know from all the Lucha Underground reviews I've done, I'm not a huge fan of the intergender stuff in one-on-one situations. Tag matches, I don't mind so much. But to just do like man against woman, one-on-one, especially if you have a guy who's like a big guy, and then you have like a smaller woman, it really just stretches the bounds of believability to me, and I just can't get into it. And it was one of the few things I really didn't care much for in Lucha Underground. I otherwise really loved that show. And that was one thing I could get into sometimes if it was the right situation. Most of the time, though, it wasn't. But they made this work, and I was into it. I really liked the match. And you know, the way that Charlotte and Sasha in WWE got to headline, and even Becky, got to headline some pay-per-views. Then you have Becky and Ronda, and Charlotte, I guess, also got to headline WrestleMania for the first time. One day, Tessa will be headlining with Charlotte. It's just too natural a match not to happen. And she's very young, so she doesn't have to go to WWE right away. And Charlotte ain't going nowhere anytime soon either. So it doesn't even have to be in the next 5 years. But believe you me, it's not much of a stretch for me to sit here and say, mark my words, we will one day see a pay-per-view main event in a WWE ring, or some ring, between Charlotte and Tessa Blanchard. It will happen. And it's too natural a matchup not to build up. Two daughters of two different members of the Four Horsemen. It just sells itself. The original Four Horsemen, mind you. But right now, I would say Impact is very lucky to have her under contract because she is one of the best female stars out there anywhere. Jordynne Grace. Jordynne Grace is another one that Impact also has locked down under contract. One person who is not under contract anymore to Impact is Johnny Impact. The former Johnny Mundo, John Morrison, he is a free agent after his loss to Rich Swann at the pay-per-view. His contract apparently had already expired. He agreed to stay long enough to lose to Swann, which he did on his way out. You know, AEW, I think, would be a great landing spot for him if he wanted to sign with a big promotion and get some face time on a major cable station, not, not the El Rey Network and not Pursuit or even Access. You know, there's been rumors of Impact moving to Access. It's not a done deal. Even Access, which has been a great friend to a lot of different pro wrestling promotions, and they've got some good people working there, but your exposure is going to be limited. That's just the way it is. So for him to get on a network like a TNT would be a big deal. It'd be the biggest exposure he's had since being in WWE. So I think that'd be a great landing spot for him. You know, maybe Johnny Dynamite coming to Wednesday Night Dynamite soon, or probably would call him Johnny Elite. Probably would be the name. I just like how you could pretty much adapt it for anything. You know, he could be a guest star on Law and Order. They can call him, Johnny Justice or some bullshit like that. Pretty much any television show you could drop him in. I'd love to see the list of names this guy would get, depending on what TV show he's on. So yeah, he could be Johnny Elite if he was to go over there. Or he could always re-sign with Impact, because supposedly the two sides are still talking. So who knows? Maybe he'll just end up right back where he was. LAX also said to be gone from Impact after next month, and they have big money offers on the table waiting for them from both WWE and AEW. Now me, I kind of look at this and I, as an outside, force here, a fan, whatever, I look at this and I say, yeah, they'd be a good fit in AEW with the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, who they feuded with at Impact. They've got a lot of familiarity with those guys. They could work with them again, but on a bigger platform, and they have other teams, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, SCU, the Best Friends. A lot of good teams for them to work with. And to be part of something new and fresh and exciting, and hopefully this AEW thing just takes off and they could be part of that. The prospect of being part of something new and fresh. So there's a lot of allure, I think, for them to go to AEW. Then again, WWE could use some new tag teams. God knows they could use some new tag teams. Although I would assume they probably would hit NXT first before the main roster. But if they come in for big time money, they're not going to want them, I wouldn't think, staying in NXT for very long. So you would assume they'd end up on Raw or they would end up on SmackDown. What's the best place for them? It's not for me to say. I can give my opinion. They're going to have to make that call. I look at LAX and just their style, their act, everything about them, and I say, of the two, AEW seems like it would be the better fit. But wherever they end up, they're going to make some money. Good for them. They've earned it.